The first time that I can recall that my mother would come out and wave a dish towel at me when I flew the airplane over the farm was probably in 1946, right after I came home after World War II. And so occasionally when I was flying, I just liked to look at that countryside where I grew up in and where we wandered around and hunted in the woods and walked to school and the schoolhouse. I just liked to see it from the air, what it looked like. It was really interesting. So every once in a while I'd take a trip out over the farm, just looking.
Mm-hmm.
And each time I come over, I'd usually circle the farm once when I was out in that country. And my mother would usually, probably I'd circle a couple times, give her time to get out of the house. Because if you heard an airplane, you probably had a dish towel handy. And so I'd probably give her enough time so she could get out in the yard and wave the towel at me. So I'd always rock my wings whenever she waved the towel. I'd rock my wings so she knew that I could see her. And that was sort of a ritual tradition that went on in 1946. And probably 50 years later, she was still able to get outside and walk. She probably did the same thing. She just liked to do that. To wave the dish towel, and then when you responded, it's just like you're communicating. You know? And I remember a few other places out in the country too, where some of usually the housewives would come out and wave a dish towel, a white towel, when you flew over, even if they probably knew it was they recognized the airplane probably. So they probably knew it was, so they just wanted to communicate. So that went on for many years. It was.
Did you ever take?
It was kind of interesting in a way that.
Took the kids with you too, and took the kids out flying, and they did. Grandma still did the same thing.
Yeah. And well, usually when they took any of the family out flying, and so many times I had the airplane out there when we were giving rides to family members, like on a Sunday afternoon or something. I'd give them many rides out of the fields right by the farm. So I just can't remember how many rides I gave, but I gave many rides to kids, and sometimes they spend a big part of the afternoon just giving rides. Then they'd get to see the countryside around and the other farms. And
can you remember the last?
See their home area from the air.
Can you remember the last time you remember my grandma or your mother waving the towel? Can you remember one of the last times? I know she was still doing it when I was in college. Still doing it in the 70s when I was in college.
In the 70s, she was 80 years old in the 70s. So it probably started slacking off because it was hard for her to get out of it. And I didn't want to, sometimes kind of thinking if come where she may get such a rush that to try to get out there, that'd probably be better off to kind of taper that off, you know.
Yeah.
But that was her. She just liked to do that. Wave flat.
You don't think she was she afraid for you, or afraid that you're in an airplane? Or?
I don't know. Probably they maybe were. But I've been flying for so many years, and they got so used to it that they probably thought it wasn't any much difference. And I mean, I'd land my airplane out there and park it and stay over the weekend and take off on Monday morning maybe and come back in the end of the week and land in the field and tie it down. And
Mhm.
so it was. I think they got to use that airplane around there that they probably didn't think much more than, probably didn't worry anymore when they were driving the car.
Yeah.
My dad always tried to leave a landing strip in the field for me when they were had plowed or something. He used to try to leave some landing strip in the field. And sometimes he left them pretty narrow, but when they were too wide.